Hey guys, Trevor with Shadow Systems and Richie, the famous Richie.
Famous.
Yeah, you're famous, dude. You are famous. And we are talking about a difficult subject today. So we are losing Richie. That's right. We're losing Richie. However, we're losing Richie because he basically has decided that he wants to return to service, and so he's going to go do a job that's going to benefit all of us, and that's his choice. And so thank you first for doing that.
Sure.
We were glad to have you while we had you, but we are now going to replace you as soon as possible.
Can I just insert a word on that? I want you to understand, and everybody out there, understand that this working here I've never experienced more personal growth. And it's never been more. I've never had more of a positive experience at a job.
That's
it's
awesome.
Seriously, it's like a family. It's awesome.
Yeah, so, it is like a family. Yeah. I really appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. So what are we going to do here? Well, I view Richie as being like Richie's like our mascot. Like if we had a giant muscular rodent that worked here or something, it would be Richie. No, Richie's like our mascot, and he's a big part of our culture. And this to me is a really important hire because this person, it's got big shoes to fill, dude. Really big shoes to fill. And so we decided to do this video really to talk about this job posting because it's going to go live here shortly, and we want Richie to kind of like weigh in and have some influence on sort of who replaces him. So okay,
so we're not replacing me with a broken mop handle?
No, we contemplated replacing Richie with a broken mop handle or a traffic cone, an orange traffic cone. Yeah. But we thought we would really shoot for the stars and try to get somebody who's a little bit more professional and competent. So, okay, here we go. Job description: technical service manager. Okay, the technical service manager or technical manager role is a multifaceted role that really starts with a deep knowledge of the product. So, Richie has been kind of like integral to every design aspect, everything that we have done. There's kind of like a trio of three that has been a part of that, Richie, me, and an engineer that has done a lot of the design work. And so, there's an element of being an expert in the gun industry and in the system and all that stuff, right? And then that also means that there's other places where that expertise helps the company. So it's not just on the design side, that's, part of it, but really the core of his work is with the customer, right?
That's right.
So the technical manager leads the customer service team. And also provides kind of meaningful input to the assembly process and kind of the overall end-to-end product performance. So that's kind of like part of what Richie has really brought to the table, and that's a hard thing to replace, and that really involves kind of a lifetime of tinkering. So like, when did you start tinkering with guns and so forth?
We have my dad to thank for that. He was a pretty good shooter. He still is, really. But he got me into firearms at an early age. Mm-hmm. And I find that was probably going to be a pretty important thing because when you're young, you have this drive to get into things, and and it was really awesome. So that's probably going to be something that would be very helpful in the person that would replace me. But about 6 years old is the earliest picture of me, holding up a little .22 rifle.
Right.
And, I mean, that's, pretty similar stories.
And by no means is it a requirement that you have to have had a interest in firearms.
It definitely helps though.
At age 4 or something, it just does help, and it is. I mean, I started around the same. I was 4 years old shooting .22s, and I do feel like if you have had kind of that lifelong interest in it, even if it was just being around it a little bit, that's helpful. And I think what we should do actually is kind of go through some of the essential duties and responsibilities. So I have kind of a bulletized list here that's going to be in the job description, so I'm going to go through it. So, communicate with customers in troubleshooting firearms using phone, email, text, and video communication methods. So tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
That's one of those, customer calls and he says, hey, this is happening. And you have to interpret what the customer is saying in his language and being able to relate to him, and he's describing something that's wrong or going wrong with a firearm or a particular operating system, and you have to be able to understand what he's trying to communicate to you, and even if he's using the wrong terminology, that kind of thing, which is okay. That's totally fine. Not everybody is an expert on everything.
That's why they're calling. They don't have to be an expert. That's our problem.
That's our job. So a lot of it is interpreting that language, figuring out what the problem is, and then trying to look back or think back in the Rolodex, like, hey, is that something we've run into before? Oh, it might be this, or it could be that.
Right.
And then, but in being able to, you also have to be able to communicate this to the customer in a way that's not condescending.
Right.
Where it's like, hey, I have a wealth of knowledge, but I'm here to help you. Just you tell me what you need. That kind of thing.
Right.
That's the biggest part of that one right there.
And so you use we use email or phone is kind of how things tend to come in, but a lot of times Richie and me and other people on our team who might be involved in customer service.
We're working at 9 p.m.
And we communicate with via text. Like we actually text customers and we'll text them a video or whatever. And so we try to be like very responsive and very available. We want it to feel a little more personal. And so that just means you're basically going to be using potentially phone, text, whatever to talk to people. And whatever medium is the easiest and best for the customer, that's what we use. Okay, we make it about them and not about us. So
exactly.
Total willingness to jump on urgent customer issues after hours. So
kind of hit on that a little bit.
Yeah, hit on that. So I mean, we've done calls at 9 o'clock at night, right?
Yeah. Sometimes there's customers that from 4 months ago or 3 months ago, I told them, hey man, save my phone number. If you need something, text or call or whatever. And 4 months later, at 9 p.m., he's like, hey man, what's going on with this, or what's doing that, or I heard this or something. And you got to be willing to communicate with them still, because and the way I see it is these people that we deal with, these are people that can be your friends,
Sure.
So if you look at it like that, like, hey, you're just talking to another friend, a pal, or whatever, it makes it really easy to do that.
Yeah, and it's a big part of our brand too. So we really like the idea of connecting with our customers more than I think a lot of other companies do. We take total ownership of the performance of our product out there in the market. We want the customer to be satisfied, and so it's really important that whoever come into this role kind of have that humility and that customer-centric focus. And it's like, we're not special, we're here to serve you. And so I think not having, like you said, condescending, never getting into that condescending mode or getting frustrated with people even when they're frustrated with you is hard.
Oh yeah. I've had some pretty tough ones, but you end up, as long as you stay calm and you just kind of like, hey, look, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. As long as you have that attitude, you can run through just about any problem you have.
I love that. I think part of that, frankly, is some of your background. So Richie's a law enforcement guy, and obviously dealing with the public and probably drunk people that are throwing punches and trying to keep it, trying to stay civil.
A lot of fights.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of fights.
Yeah. And hopefully fights avoided too.
Yeah.
It's part of it,
Yeah.
So, execute or advise on customer repairs. So we do have a customer service team. There are other people on the team. Of course, we have an assembly team, or we have technicians that might work on guns, but that technical expertise to advise on what to do is kind of part of what Richie's doing. Manage the RMA process and ensure ATF compliance throughout.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, throughout the process, there's going to be guns that are going to come in, guns that are going to leave, and you have got to be able to stay on top of that sort of thing. That's not something that we take lightly in the least bit.
Absolutely.
So that's very important.
Yep. Absolutely. Document repairs through video and in Zendesk and NetSuite. So Zendesk is basically a software platform we use to manage customer service stuff. It's pretty straightforward. But documenting this stuff is important because the things that we learn, if an issue presented that the customer had or something, it can help inform what we tell customers in the future if it happens again. Yeah. And it can also cycle back into the product development side. We love feedback, and we use that to design the next generation of products. So. Communicate thoroughly with customer through the process. We talked about that. Work with design and engineering team to assist in product development. So, that's like kind of the fun part of it, I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it
doesn't happen as much as I would like.
Yeah, it's not an everyday thing, but
it's definitely a good time.
Right. We love bringing in. So that's part of the value of having a lot of people here who are kind of shooters and end users first. We don't have like a conventional big design team gun company kind of approach. We actually think about shootability first, and then we worry about how much it costs to make it that way after.
Yeah.
So it's really about the product performance, and so the technical manager participates in that. I mean, a lot of stuff with ergonomics, Richie's help with, like figuring out how parts might function better.
Frame design, slide design.
Yep, absolutely.
A lot of that.
And you had done a lot of work like stippling, polymer frames from other manufacturers back in the day. And so,
before we came.
Yeah, so that's the tinkering aspect. So I mean, if you've like stippled frames before or experimented with parts and really gotten adventuresome and maybe broken some stuff along the way or poked holes in frames.
I've ruined so many perfectly good tons.
Me too.
So many.
I actually found a Remington 700 Action where I got so it was in the corner of my garage next to a chainsaw. And I got so frustrated with this thing 10 years ago trying to get the barrel off that I just finally said F it and tried to use a pipe wrench, which also didn't take the barrel off, and now it's essentially scrap in the corner of my garage. But
was it thrown?
It was not. I
figured it was there because it was thrown.
No, it looked like it got dragged at some point, but I don't think it was thrown. Yeah, so anyway, stuff like that. Support new Shadow Systems armor program. Okay, so basically we're, as we roll out more into the law enforcement space, we have an armors program that's kind of in development, and there's going to be some expertise associated with that, obviously. Support test of firearms. Ability to shoot tight groups offhand with the pistol is preferred. Okay, so, if you're a guy that can stand there and, shoot a one-hole group for a whole mag at 7 yards or something, and
cool.
In a couple inches or something at 25, that's helpful because it does mean that you have some value for product testing. It can't, the more people that can shoot and can pick up on stuff that's an issue, the better. So
that's not to say though that if you're not that person that you're unacceptable.
Yeah.
All that means is it helps to have that, but a lot of that you could teach.
Yeah.
I could teach whatever.
Yeah, right. And and realize as we go through this, it's not about like these are the things that we must have.
Yeah, not a lot of these are deal breakers.
Absolutely.
It just really helps.
It's just more
really
like giving you a feel for what the position is, so maybe it works for you. Okay, and then you added this one recently: knowledge of current market trends and competing products.
Yeah, this one we found was very helpful because I was already, and so were you, but and we collaborated. We collaborated a lot on that stuff. But I find that having an extensive knowledge of what's available, what works, what aftermarket parts work with what, and kind of having a good baseline of those things is very, very important. It'll work, but again, it'll help us work, but again, it's not a deal breaker. It's just one of those things. It's like that's something I found really, really helped me through this, and the design part too.
As we're talking, one of the things that's obvious that is built into all this that we didn't really talk about is just verbal communication. Like the way you explain things is really it's very straightforward. It's like, you use vocabulary that's easy to understand. You give good examples, and, your tone is generally like very, positive and not.
Yeah, I try to be.
Yeah, not like, overbearing. And I think maybe that's an important part too. So one of the things you might learn about Shadow's culture if you come on board is, our culture is pretty carefully managed. Like I have a pretty specific idea of how I want people to treat each other. And really what it boils down to is, it's a really collaborative environment where it doesn't matter what your background is. We don't do like the, if you're a Marine, you ain't, or whatever. We're not like super like rah, the tough guy. We don't do much tough guy here. Okay, it's more like hugs and high fives.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah, so I guess my point is, that carries through in how we communicate externally. We want to be like very approachable. We don't want to be, like elitist or So.
Yeah, it's unproductive, really.
It is unproductive. That's a good way to look at it.
It pushes people away.
It pushes people away, and it also makes people who are in the company who are not like a former whatever.
Yeah, it makes them disgruntled.
Yeah, but it makes them feel like they're maybe
alienated.
Alienated. Yeah. That's a good word. Okay. Yeah. Qualifications and basic requirements. Okay, a humble, playful attitude, definitely. We mentioned a Glock armor certification is preferred. So if you have this armor certification, that's great. Maybe you've been doing armor's course for a different design. That'd be good too. Yeah. Military law enforcement experience. We think that's helpful because we do deal with a lot of customers that are in that realm and more law enforcement. But again, it's preferred. It's not required. We mentioned a bachelor's degree is preferred. Customer service experience preferred. I added competitive shooting experience preferred mostly because of the tie-in back to like shooting ability. So
competitive shooting experience, that hits on a couple of the points that were above. Like if you're competing, you're that person, then you're going to have a knowledge of things, how they work and whatnot. And also current market offerings and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's very true. You'll probably be around a lot of other enthusiasts every weekend too, and seeing what's on their hip and why did they pick that recoil spring weight or why did they do cool. Okay, so it is a full-time position. It is here in Plano, and it's typical kind of 40-hour work week as the baseline, but just, you know, as a reminder, it is also some after hours, and one of the things that when I mentioned the collaboration in this company, you know, everybody kind of pitches in and jumps into other people's lanes and supports each other when there's lots of work to do. So
cross training. We do a lot of cross training.
Absolutely. So you may find yourself, you know, doing things that are well outside of this job description,
like cleaning a bathroom.
Like cleaning the bathroom, but that's just a part of our culture. So anyway, so hey man, you know, I mean, we're definitely going to miss you, but
I won't be too far away.
I'm proud of you for the things that, you know, you did here and that you're going to go on and do afterward. And so hopefully we'll get some good applicants here, and we can find somebody that can contribute to the company to the same level that you have.
You're out there.
Yeah.
Wherever you are.
Hey, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good week.
See you guys.
Bye.